Just 2 minutes ago, the entire world of women's basketball was shattered and the WNBA is still trying to catch its breath. In a shocking twist that no one saw coming, Caitlin Clark, America's sweetheart and the league's biggest rising star, has just walked away from the WNBA and signed a record-breaking deal with EuroLeague. That's right, a jaw-dropping, never-before-seen $15 million transfer deal has just been finalized. And trust us, it's not just the money that has people talking. This move has ripped open old wounds, sparked fierce behind-the-scenes feuds, and left teammates in tears and disbelief. Sources say the decision was made in complete secrecy, with even Clark's own teammates at the Indiana Fever blindsided by the news. She didn't even say goodbye, a devastated Fever insider revealed. One day she was laughing with us, the next day she was gone. But what pushed Caitlin to take such a dramatic leap? Was it the WNBA's pay gap, the constant criticism, or something deeper, like betrayal from within her own circle? Rumors are swirling that this isn't just about basketball, it's personal. According to sources close to the situation, an explosive confrontation between Clark and a top WNBA executive just days ago may have been the final straw. She felt disrespected, humiliated, an insider said. It wasn't just about dollars, it was about dignity and the backlash. Swift, furious, divisive, former teammates are speaking out. Legends of the game are throwing shade. Social media is on fire. And Caitlin, she's not backing down. In a cryptic Instagram story, she posted just 3 words, "I choose me." As fans reel and the WNBA scrambles to recover, one question hangs in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. What really happened behind those locker room doors? And why did one of the most promising talents in WNBA history turn her back on the league that made her a star? Stay with us as we unravel the full story, from the first whisper of discontent to the final explosive showdown and the multi-million-dollar twist that no one was prepared for. This is more than a transfer. This is a betrayal that changed everything. The WNBA is stunned. EuroLeague is celebrating, and Caitlin Clark? She just rewrote the rules of the game. It all started with a silence that was louder than any press conference. Caitlin Clark had missed practice. Not just once, but 3 days in a row. At first, the Fever management chalked it up to exhaustion. After all, she'd been carrying the team since day one. But then came the whispers. The locker room became cold, tense, teammates were exchanging nervous glances. And then her locker was empty. Her nameplate gone, just like that. The coaching staff was stunned. No one had authorized a transfer. No one even knew where she had gone. It wasn't until an international sports journalist tweeted a cryptic message, "Something big is brewing in Istanbul," that the panic truly began to spread. WNBA insiders scrambled to confirm what seemed impossible. Was Caitlin Clark really leaving America to join the EuroLeague? Could she be walking away from her rookie season, millions in endorsements, and the face of an entire movement for women's sports in the US? Then came the bombshell, an emergency EuroLeague press release announcing a record-breaking $15 million deal with an American star guard who had proven herself beyond domestic boundaries. It didn't name her directly, but the picture said it all. Caitlin standing proudly in front of Fenerbahce's massive blue and yellow banner, holding her new jersey with a calm smile that sent shockwaves through the basketball universe. The WNBA office in New York was blindsided. The Indiana Fever's GM reportedly found out via Twitter. "We didn't authorize any release. We haven't received a formal resignation. This is completely unprecedented," he told reporters. While visibly shaken, the league scrambled to get in touch with Clark, but her phone had apparently been disconnected, or worse, deliberately powered off. Behind closed doors, tempers flared. She's not just any rookie. She was our golden goose, a league executive was overheard saying during a heated phone call. Back in Indiana, fans gathered outside Gainbridge Fieldhouse holding homemade signs. Some begged her to return, others, angry and confused, shouted accusations of betrayal. "We supported you when the media tore you apart," one woman screamed into a local news camera. "You were supposed to be our hero." But for Clark, this wasn't about betrayal, it was about boundaries. For months, she dealt with the pressure, the unrealistic expectations, and what sources close to her describe as constant emotional manipulation by key figures in the WNBA board. One of her closest confidants, a former assistant coach who had resigned months earlier, claimed Caitlin had cried in her office after being berated for prioritizing her brand over the league's image. She was told to tone down her game, to be less flashy, to act more humble, the coach revealed. They didn't want a star, they wanted a mascot. That same week, Caitlin had quietly contacted her overseas agent, inquiring about opportunities beyond the States. What started as a quiet curiosity quickly spiraled into secret negotiations. And while the EuroLeague had never signed a player of her stature, they saw this as their moment. This was their Lebron move, said a basketball economist based in Spain, a way to turn Europe into the new hub for global women's basketball. And Clark was the perfect storm, but this decision wasn't easy. Clark's inner circle was divided. Her father, a lifelong sports traditionalist, was reportedly furious. "He begged her not to go," said a family friend. He told her she'd be turning her back on history, that people would never forgive her. On the other side, her mother was quietly supportive. She saw how drained Caitlin was, how broken, how often she came home and just sat in silence. Even Clark's own agent was hesitant. This could end her U.S. career, he warned. "You don't come back from a move like this," but Clark had already made up her mind. "I don't owe them my soul," she reportedly told him. Meanwhile, over in Turkey, preparations were already underway. The EuroLeague's top brass was in celebration mode. Private jets were booked, commercials were drafted, jerseys were printed overnight. "We knew the moment she landed, the eyes of the world would follow," said Fenerbahçe's marketing head. And land she did under heavy security and complete media blackout. Not a single reporter caught footage of her arrival, but a leaked airport CCTV still showing her walking through customs with a hoodie pulled tight over her head sent the internet into a frenzy. Reddit exploded, Instagram lit up, Twitter rebranded her as Euro Queen. But the WNBA, they weren't celebrating. "This is a scandal," tweeted a former league MVP. "How do you let the face of the league just walk out the door?" That night, a private Zoom call was held between WNBA executives and owners from every team. The tone was panicked. "If she gets away with this, we'll lose more stars," one owner warned. Another chimed in, "We built this league on her face, on her name, and now she's gone." There was even talk of legal action claims, a breach of contract, disloyalty, and unauthorized negotiations. But Clark's legal team was 10 steps ahead. The contract left loopholes, one sports attorney noted. The WNBA never anticipated someone walking mid-season with this level of leverage. Back in Indiana, things got worse. A teammate, who had grown especially close to Clark, Aaliyah Boston, went live on Instagram in tears. "I don't understand it," she said between sobs. "She didn't tell me. I was supposed to be her sister." Her emotional livestream drew millions of views in hours. Some fans rallied behind her, others turned on Clark completely. "She was always about herself," one former college rival tweeted. Now it's obvious, but Caitlin Clark, across the ocean, wasn't looking back. In a quiet hotel room overlooking the Bosphorus, she took a deep breath. Her phone buzzed, constantly called, she wouldn't answer. She sat with her mother and whispered, "This is the first time I've felt free in months." She wasn't trying to start a war, but she just lit the match that would ignite one. And the flames were just beginning to spread next morning. Chaos had gone global. Major U.S. news outlets scrambled to cover the shocking defection. ESPN cut into its scheduled programming for a special report titled "Clark Leaves the Court: The WNBA's Greatest Loss." Commentators were livid, fans were heartbroken, and the league's public relations team was in meltdown. But overseas, a different story was being written. Istanbul was electrified. Clark's face plastered massive billboards as if she were royalty. The mayor issued a public welcome. Fenerbahçe fans flooded the club's social media with messages like "Welcome to your real home." And Caitlin Clark is Europe's queen now. And just like that, she went from America's darling to an international icon in under 24 hours. But as the cheers echoed across European arenas, the storm back home grew louder. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert was forced to hold a press conference, her jaw visibly clenched as she faced dozens of reporters. "We're disappointed, we're shocked, and we're currently reviewing all legal options regarding Caitlin Clark's abrupt departure," she stated. When asked if the league had failed to protect and retain their star player, her face tightened. "The WNBA supports all of our athletes. This, however, was an unexpected and unauthorized move." Behind the scenes, league officials were scrambling. To contain the damage, sponsors were nervous. Endorsement deals built around Caitlin's face and story began to falter. A major sportswear brand even paused an upcoming ad campaign. One insider revealed she wasn't just a player. She was the marketing strategy. Now, that entire plan is on fire. The backlash extended to her remaining teammates. Some took to social media to unfollow her. Others posted vague quotes about loyalty, family, and betrayal. The team's captain even tweeted, "It's not about talent, it's about integrity." But not everyone turned against her. A growing segment of fans, particularly younger women, rallied behind the narrative that Caitlin's move was a brave stand against exploitation. TikTok erupted with videos under the hashtag #ClarkRevolution featuring young athletes talking about unequal pay, mental burnout, and systemic disrespect in American women's sports. She left because she was tired of being used. One viral video claimed she left because no one listened when she cried for help. Another video speculated that Clark had been warned repeatedly by higher-ups to know her place and stop overshadowing the league. "You don't punish excellence," it said, "unless you're scared of it." And then came the twist no one expected. Caitlin spoke in a pre-recorded, exclusive sit-down with a European media outlet. She shared her side. This wasn't an impulsive decision, she began calmly. "It's been coming for months." Her voice was soft but resolute. She spoke of locker room tension, of being asked to downplay her identity to fit a certain mold, and of feeling like a puppet in a game she didn't control. "It was always about what I represented, not who I truly was. I didn't leave because I hate the WNBA. I left because I love myself enough not to break." She talked about private meetings with league officials that ended with cold ultimatums. "I was told if I didn't tone down my persona, I'd be benched. I was told my emotions were bad for the league's image." The interview went viral in minutes. Screenshots of her quotes became mantras. "I left because I love myself" was printed on t-shirts by morning. While some still saw her departure as betrayal, many now saw it as a rebellion. But this revelation only ignited further chaos. More WNBA players began speaking out, some anonymously, others boldly. One veteran player tweeted, "She just did what we've all thought about but never had the guts to do." Another commented on a podcast, "She's forcing a conversation this league has ignored for decades." Suddenly, it wasn't just Caitlin's story, it was every woman who had been sidelined, silenced, or underpaid. The dominoes had begun to fall. At the same time, Clark's EuroLeague debut was approaching. Tickets for her first game with Fenerbahçe sold out in less than an hour. Scalpers were charging triple for nosebleed seats, Turkish broadcasters predicted. Record-breaking viewership. Meanwhile, back in the States, the Indiana Fever struggled to keep morale high. Without Caitlin, the team fell into disarray. Their offense tanked, fans stopped coming. During one home game, the stands were half empty, and the booing echoed louder than the sneakers squeaking on the court. Inside the Fever locker room, the mood was described as funeral level. The coaching staff tried to rally the players, but no one could ignore the missing piece. And things took a darker turn when it was leaked that one of Caitlin's closest teammates had known about the transfer weeks before it happened and said nothing. That revelation cracked the team in half, trust eroded, arguments broke out. A team source described the tension as nuclear. They feel used, the source said. Like they were part of a story they didn't agree to. But Caitlin was already across the ocean, training with her new squad and adjusting to a different kind of fame. In Turkey, she wasn't just a basketball player, she was a phenomenon. She was being courted by fashion houses, offered speaking deals by international feminist organizations, and even rumored to be filming a documentary about her journey. But amid all the glitz, she remained focused. "This isn't about becoming a celebrity," she told her new teammates during practice. "This is about playing free. This is about the game I love." Still, not everything was golden in paradise. Fenerbahçe's previous starting guard, a EuroLeague veteran and local legend, wasn't thrilled about being replaced. Tensions reportedly flared during early practices. At one point, a shouting match broke out between her and Clark over play calling. "You don't own this court," the veteran yelled. "We built this before you even knew where Turkey was." Caitlin didn't back down, then tried to stop me, she snapped back, leaving the gym while teammates watched in stunned silence. Coaches intervened, and a mandatory team mediation was held the next day. Back home, the WNBA Board of Governors met in an emergency session. Discussions were heated. Some wanted to impose lifetime bans on players who defected mid-season. Others begged for introspection. "We didn't just lose Caitlin," one executive warned. "We lost the trust of every girl who ever dreamed of playing here." But not everyone was in panic mode. One savvy investor saw opportunity. "This is our wake-up call," she told the board. "Fix the system or risk collapse." As for Caitlin, she ended her second week in Turkey with a mysterious Instagram story. A black screen with the words, "They said I'd regret this, but I've never been clearer." The post got over 10 million views in 4 hours. That night, reports emerged that two more top WNBA players were in talks with EuroLeague teams. The shift had begun. The wound was open and bleeding, and it wasn't over. The air in the basketball world was electric, but not with excitement, with tension. Everyone was waiting for the next shoe to drop, and then it did. News broke that two more WNBA stars Areka Gunboel and Skylar Diggins-Smith had entered final stage negotiations with EuroLeague clubs. The headlines practically wrote themselves. The Euro exodus has begun, WNBA's empire cracking, and Clark opens the floodgates. For decades, WNBA players had gone overseas during off-seasons to earn what they deserved, but never mid-season. Never like this. Clark's move had rewritten the rules, and now the league was fighting to keep its brightest stars from disappearing overnight. Inside WNBA headquarters, it was pandemonium. Emergency task forces were formed. Owners and sponsors held emergency strategy calls, and some of the most powerful voices in the league were whispering behind closed doors about offering year-approved contracts, massive multi-million-dollar deals with no overseas loopholes. But it was too late. The narrative had shifted. No longer was the WNBA the ultimate dream. Suddenly, the idea of playing in Europe wasn't exile, it was freedom. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was gearing up for her Fenerbahçe debut. The game was scheduled to be broadcast in over 42 countries. Turkish media dubbed it the night basketball changed forever. Streets around the Alkar Sports Arena were shut down due to massive crowds. Vendors sold Clark-themed scarves and banners. One young girl held up a sign that read, "You made me believe in more." Inside the locker room, the team was split. Half were ready to welcome their new star. The other half, still loyal to the former starting guard, held back. You could cut the tension with a knife. As Caitlin laced up her shoes, her coach pulled her aside. "They don't all trust you yet," he said in a hushed voice. "But they will. Play like your life depends on it." And so she did. From the moment she stepped on the court, she was a force of nature. She dropped threes like rain, sliced through defenders with impossible finesse, and fired up the crowd like a rock star. She scored 38 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds, setting a new debut record in EuroLeague history. The crowd chanted her name in waves. Caitlin! Caitlin! Cameras flashed. Social media exploded. Sports analysts from Spain to South Korea called it the greatest debut in the history of international women's basketball. But just as Clark celebrated with her new teammates hugging, smiling, laughing, her phone buzzed with a message that made her freeze. It was from Aaliyah Boston. "I just want to understand." "Why didn't you tell me?" Caitlin stared at the screen, her hands suddenly cold. Aaliyah wasn't just a teammate, she had been family. The long nights after practice, the deep talks, the silly road trip game, it all came rushing back. But Caitlin didn't reply. Not yet. Not while she was still figuring out if she'd done the right thing. That night, she tossed and turned in her hotel bed. She had won, but at what cost? The next day, an anonymous WNBA player leaked screenshots of internal group chats showing league executives mocking Clark's move, calling her a ticking time bomb and a drama queen with a crossover. The leak went viral. Fans were furious. One tweet read, "This is why she left." They never respected her. They just wanted to own her. Another said, "You don't push out your brightest light and then act shocked when the room goes dark." But while the league fought public relations fires, EuroLeague doubled down. Caitlin was offered a partnership stake in the team's marketing division, unheard of for any player, let alone a newcomer. A global sports brand announced a new line called Clark Unchained, celebrating her boldness. Oprah Winfrey even invited her to speak at an upcoming Women in Power event. But with all the spotlight came shadows. Fenerbahce's former star guard, the same one Caitlin had clashed with in practice, took to a live Turkish news program and aired her grievances. "She doesn't respect what we've built here," she fumed. "She came in like a savior, but she's only saving herself." The interview reignited tensions inside the team. Practices grew more aggressive, trust broke down. Clark began walking into the locker room with headphones in, avoiding eye contact. She wasn't just playing basketball anymore, she was surviving it. In the midst of the turmoil, a new drama unfolded. A private email thread between Caitlin's U.S. sponsors leaked, revealing that several brands were considering cutting ties due to her controversial international pivot. One executive wrote, "We built her as America's icon. She's abandoned that." Another replied, "She's bigger than borders now. Watch her eclipse every limitation we put on her." The debate grew. Was she betraying her country or exposing its flaws? Even Caitlin's family was under fire. Paparazzi followed her parents around Des Moines. Reporters knocked on the doors of her high school coaches. Conspiracy theories spread online, some saying she was brainwashed by European agents, others claiming she'd been planning this all along with secret overseas deals. A YouTuber went viral claiming she had faked some WNBA injuries just to lay the groundwork for her grand escape. Ridiculous, sure, but they racked up millions of views. And while the drama spiraled, Caitlin stayed quiet. She practiced. She played. She avoided questions about the WNBA, but everyone around her knew the pressure was mounting. After one particularly grueling game, she collapsed in the locker room, not from injury, but from pure exhaustion. The team doctor advised her to rest. Her coach offered her a week off. She declined both. "I didn't come here to rest," she whispered. "I came here to be free." But freedom, she was learning, had its price. And that price was just about to skyrocket. The pressure was reaching a breaking point. Caitlin Clark may have gained freedom, but it had become a double-edged sword, glinting with glory on one side and slicing with isolation on the other. Every step she took on the court now came with a camera flash, a rumor, a tweet dissecting her facial expressions. And back home, the backlash was reaching fever pitch. The WNBA had officially launched a player stability initiative, which was widely understood as a direct response to the Caitlin Clark defection. Reports surfaced that league leaders were considering placing a mandatory overseas transfer ban in rookie contracts moving forward, dubbing it the Clark Clause, a thinly veiled punishment masked as policy. Meanwhile, Caitlin's relationship with her Fenerbahce teammates was unraveling. The former star guard, who now sat on the bench, was becoming a silent force of dissent. During one high-stakes game against Galatasaray, Clark missed a buzzer-beater three. Cameras caught the bench guard smirking and clapping sarcastically. The clip exploded online. Tensions in Turkey. The headlines blared. Clark didn't respond. She simply walked off the court, stone-faced. But behind closed doors, she exploded. In the locker room, she finally snapped. "If you have something to say it to my face," she shouted, standing in the middle of the room. No one replied. The silence was louder than any insult. That night, she turned off her phone, pulled the curtains in her hotel suite, and cried. Not just for the game, but for everything. For the way her name had become a battleground, for the people she missed, for Aaliyah Boston, for the teammates she'd loved and lost, for her dad, who still hadn't called her since she left. She had gained the world, and yet, somehow, she felt hollow. But the world wasn't done spinning. A massive twist dropped that sent both the EuroLeague and WNBA into chaos. An intercepted memo revealed that the WNBA had quietly tried to buy out her EuroLeague contract. Leaked emails showed top league officials offering $30 million to Fenerbahce to bring Clark back immediately, but the Turkish team refused. In fact, their response was scathing. "She is not for sale. She is not your property. She is the future." The public reaction, explosive. American fans screamed hypocrisy. So now she's worth $30 million. Where was that money when she was giving you her soul? Emotions ran high. The basketball community split into two camps: Team WNBA and Team Caitlin. Analysts fought on live TV. Former players called her a traitor, while others praised her as a trailblazer. Even LeBron James weighed in with a tweet. "Sometimes the bravest move is walking away from what everyone else calls success." Then came the moment no one expected. Aaliyah Boston went live on Instagram. Sitting on her bed, eyes red from crying, she spoke directly into the camera. "Caitlin, if you're watching, I just miss my friend. I didn't care about the league. I didn't care about the fame. I just wanted you to tell me. You left without a word, and that broke me." The video went viral within minutes, and for the first time, Caitlin broke her silence. She posted a voice message to her private Instagram story, viewable only by close friends. But it was recorded and leaked within the hour. "Aaliyah," she said softly, her voice trembling, "I couldn't say goodbye. Because if I looked you in the eye, I would have stayed, and I couldn't survive staying." That voice note broke the internet. It shattered the narrative. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a contract or a court. It was about heartbreak, about the cost of ambition, about the friendships we leave behind when we chase freedom. Then, the unthinkable happened. The EuroLeague announced a surprise match in New York: Fenerbahce versus a hand-picked WNBA All-Star roster featuring none other than Aaliyah Boston. The game was pitched as a celebration of global women's basketball, but everyone knew the truth. This was war. It sold out Madison Square Garden in 6 hours. Celebrities bought up courtside seats. ESPN cleared their primetime slot. The world was watching, and Caitlin knew it. She walked into that arena not just as a player, but as a symbol of rebellion. Cameras caught her backstage, alone, breathing deeply before stepping onto the court. When she did, the crowd roared half in awe, half in rage, chants of traitor. Mixed with icon, it was deafening. Aaliyah Boston stood across from her, eyes locked. For a second, time froze, then the ball tipped, and all hell broke loose. The game was physical, brutal. Players fouled hard, trash talk flew. Caitlin hit a three in Aaliyah's face and whispered, "Still got it." Aaliyah responded with a block so fierce it knocked Clark to the ground. "You're not the only one with fight," she hissed. The score was neck and neck all game. Every possession felt like a political statement. With 14 seconds left, the EuroLeague team trailed by 1. The ball went to Caitlin. She dribbled up the court, juked left, crossed over and launched a deep three with Aaliyah in her face. Swish! The buzzer rang. Fenerbahce 89, WNBA All-Stars 87. The crowd erupted. Clark stood still, arms out, face blank. Then, slowly, she walked toward Aaliyah. Cameras zoomed in. The two locked eyes. "I'm sorry," Caitlin said. Aaliyah didn't respond right away. Then she stepped forward and hugged her, tight, long, forgiving. The arena fell into silence, and in that moment, everything changed. Not just for Caitlin, not just for Aaliyah, but for women's basketball as a whole. The feud had sparked a revolution. The pain had led to progress. And Caitlin Clark had done what no one thought possible. She broke the system wide open just by choosing herself. So now, here we are after weeks of emotional chaos, broken friendships, global headlines, and a game that redefined the future of women's basketball. One truth stands undeniable. Caitlin Clark didn't just sign a deal with EuroLeague, she sparked a movement. A movement that tore down the walls of expectation, forced a global sports industry to take a hard look in the mirror, and made every young athlete believe that maybe, just maybe, they don't have to choose between greatness and freedom. Her story was never just about points on a scoreboard, it was about dignity, respect, and power. From locker room betrayals to boardroom buyout attempts, from TikTok trends to secret Instagram confessions, from hate-filled headlines to thunderous standing ovations, Caitlin Clark lived it all. And in doing so, she exposed a truth the world was too comfortable ignoring, that even in 2025, the most talented women still have to fight twice as hard just to be seen as equal. But the war isn't over. What happens next? Will more stars follow her path? Will the WNBA evolve or dig in its heels? Will EuroLeague become the new kingdom for queens of the court? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark changed the game forever. Now it's your turn to sound off. Do you think Caitlin made the right choice? Was this bold move the revolution women's basketball needed, or a dangerous defection that went too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading every single one. And if this story shook you, if you felt the heat, the heartbreak, and the power behind every twist, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss the next explosive saga. This isn't the end of the story. This is just the first quarter. And Caitlin Clark, she's only just getting started.